Good morning, everybody. My name's Marshall Richardson, and this is my video response to the ethnic discrimination case review where I'm the nursing and HR director. Just a short summary, it sounds like we've got a situation where a pediatric patient is in with his mom who is requesting Caucasian-only providers and nurses to care for her son, apparently who has RSV, and we are located in a diversely recruited hospital in Arizona. So recommendations on how I would handle this. Well, as HR director, there aren't many times where you really need to have direct patient interaction to handle a problem with staff members. Although I would say this is one that calls for that immediate action, and it does sound like the patient is not in emergent need right now, so we do have a little bit of time to play with this matter. So really simple. I would tell the mom if she wants her son to be seen by a Caucasian provider or nurse, while we may have the staffing for it, she must either wait until we can make one of our Caucasian pediatricians available, meaning that we may need to reassign some patients to other nurses and docs to free up that specific provider and nurse to see them, assuming that one is on shift that day and not already tied up in more urgent cases. Or they can leave AMA. It's really one of those two choices. Truly, we're a hospital. We can't hold up pediatric beds just for her preference. Patient family satisfaction is obviously going to be our goal. We want everyone to come through the door and leave with a feeling that their health and wellness were the main focus of the entirety of their stay. Absolutely. But at the same time, we have to understand that patient safety is our priority, and accommodations, they really can't always be met. Just going off some of the policies we already have, we make sure that everyone gets treated fairly and equally. We're not going to discriminate for or against patients or employees. When we hire, it's indiscriminately. We focus on talent, skill set, knowledge, and what's best fit. When we treat patients, it's indiscriminately. We focus on urgency, census, and what beds are available. Now, when it comes to cultural and religious preferences, that's one thing. We're obviously going to do our best not to violate any patient or family member's beliefs and practices. But ethnic discrimination preferences is a whole other issue. And as director, that's not going to fly in my hospital. We're going to give you the fastest and most accessible and appropriate care when it comes to your health, but ethnicity is not a factor in your care. Now, if you choose to wait because you prefer providers of a specific ethnicity, then you're going to have to accept what comes with it. And that's the risk that you may not get seen for several extra minutes to hours while we attempt to make that accommodation for you. And that's not us showing you any difference in patient treatment because of your preference. That's just logistics. We're going to have to shift some things around to try and accommodate for you. And really the frustrating part is that her son, who really should be the sole focus of this whole thing, is collateral damage on an issue that shouldn't even be an issue when you consider that your child is sick. Looking at the second question, how would I go about, or how would this affect some of our staff members and patients and administration if we give in to their request and accommodate? Technically, even if we give in to her request, we are thereby showing some support of the idea of discrimination because she wants a Caucasian provider specifically and nurse. We'd have to shuffle around some of the assigned patients just so that we can make those accommodations for our staff. And now that's going to affect the entire rest of the peds department potentially, because now we have to make sure we do handoffs where one nurse was taking care of a group and now she has to relinquish, or he has to relinquish care so that they can be free to take care of the sick son over here. And now the sick son potentially waiting several more minutes to hours on top of what's already likely several hours wait just to be seen because they're not super urgent already. And while this may appease the mom, at what cost? We're delaying care for something that's really not medically necessary at this point. As an HR department, obviously we're going to have to sit down and review this whole situation and potentially prepare for legal action in case this accommodation that we make is going to upset another staff member. Because a situation like this, no matter what you do or don't do, it's undoubtedly going to change the work culture. Because staff are going to know that accommodation is either for or against ethnic preferences like this. And it's going to make everyone start to question, if we do give in to this accommodation of giving them all white or all Caucasian care providers, it's going to start to make the staff question, is our diverse hiring and indiscrimination policy as honest as it really says it is? And then obviously as HR, we're going to need to review our own policies to make sure that what's in place now is going to protect the staff members and patients against situations like this in the future. Speaking of going into the third question, policy statement for future requests, I would go ahead and draft a statement for administration to review and approve and then publish to each department with a mandatory sign-in roster for every employee to verify that they read and acknowledge this statement. Just kind of a quick summary of what it would be. Just something along the lines of, we will continue to demonstrate our commitment to patients and provide patient accommodations within reason to include ethnic and religious beliefs to the best of our ability, not at the expense of other staff members and patients, and not at the risk of displaying or supporting the idea of discrimination in any fashion, as every patient and employee will be treated fairly above all else, with priority for those that are most urgent. Accommodations are merely preferential requests that will not take priority over health-related necessities under any circumstances. I think it's really important to make sure that the message is clear and expectations are clear from the get-go, that when patients are coming in to our hospital, our facilities, that they understand our stance on this matter, that we're going to treat everyone the same regardless. And your preferences and your requests are just that, they're requests. We're basically going to take the needs of the patient and their health situation as our utmost priority. Now, I'd make sure once we have this policy, drafted, approved, and everyone signed it, that we have it summarized and assigned at the triage or reception desk. That way there is no question when patients come in the door, they already know what they're going to get, and that's indiscriminate, fair medical treatment to the best of our ability as soon as we possibly can. At the end of the day, we're a PEDS unit in a hospital. We're here to make sick people get better. If patients have those cultural religious accommodation requests, they need to make sure that they make them known as soon as possible, which, to her credit, Marjorie did make that known pretty early on the onset. But at the same time, end of the day, it is a request, and we have to make sure that we're all about fairness and just making sure that patients get fair treatment, that our staff gets fair treatment, and that we make getting patients better our priority. Not to ramble on, my name is Marshall Richardson, and that concludes my video response on the ethnic discrimination case.